Kia ora, or hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Odessa, if you didn't know, and today we will be doing a question and answers living in Korea video. So I did ask you guys on my social medias some questions you'd like to ask me, since I have been living in Korea for 4 years now, 2 years in Gangwon-do in Wonju, and then 2 years in Seoul, nearly my 5th year starting next year, which is crazy. So yes, I have lots of questions that you lovely people have asked me, so let's get on to it. Sorry guys, I will be looking in front of me because my computer's here, so for the questions. And all the first kind of topics we're going to talk about is lifestyle. It's one of the biggest topics that a lot of people asked me questions, so let's get into it. The first question is the biggest differences between New Zealand and Korea. Now there's actually quite a lot of differences. The first being, and the biggest, is how things are cheaper in Korea. If you guys didn't know, New Zealand's a very expensive country, and especially with inflation, we're currently in a recession, which is not that great. Eating at restaurants is so much cheaper in Korea. In New Zealand, it is so expensive, and that's a little bit of the difference, is it is cheaper to buy groceries in New Zealand and to cook at home, whereas it's not cheaper to buy groceries in Korea. It's more expensive. So meat, vegetables, and fruits are cheaper in New Zealand, and that's more expensive in Korea. The other thing is transportation. Transportation is super cheap. Taxis are so expensive in New Zealand, as well as Uber. Whereas over here, for me, if I'm lazy and I don't want to take the subway, I will happily take a taxi, and it's not going to cost me an arm and a leg. For a 40-minute drive or a taxi drive, it's around 30,000 won, $30. But in New Zealand, that could take you up to $100, which is ridiculous. Healthcare and all that stuff is so much cheaper in Korea. So like dentist, OBGYN. I got some work done on my teeth, like I got some cleaning and I've got some fillings, and I literally paid like $100, 100,000 won. And in New Zealand, when I did get some fillings before coming here, it costed me like $600. The other thing that is cheaper is just doctors in general, if you are on insurance over here. And that's why I go to the doctors a lot more over in Korea than I do in New Zealand. I would only go to the doctors if I was like super sick, which is really interesting. Also, optometrists. I am blind. Yay. And I got an eye test, I got contacts, and I got glasses for literally 70,000 won, 80,000 won for all of it. For glasses, just in New Zealand, for the cheapest pair is like $150, $200 on top of an eye exam. You can get covered by the government, but it's not everyone that can get covered. Yes, we have Uber Eats and we have all of that stuff in New Zealand, but it costs so much money to deliver. Delivery is so fast in Korea, especially with coupang and things like that. You can literally order something in the morning and you can get it that night or early in the morning. Delivery is fantastic. It is a lifesaver. Also, delivery, when you do order food, it literally can come in like 15 to 20 minutes. It's so pali and it's incredible. I love delivery services over here. Alcohol is super cheap in Korea, like ridiculously cheap, especially soju. It's like $1, $2 for a bottle. You can also drink out in public in Korea. You cannot drink in New Zealand. It's like literally a law where you cannot drink in public. And also, if you want to be cheap, even though drinking is cheap, it can be still a little expensive in the clubs. You can just go to the CU, the convenience store, pop over there and do some drinking, you know, very hard and fast drinking, or outside the club, you just chug back a soju and then you're lit, and then you can just go in and not spend any money. The other thing is tattoos. My mum is fully tattooed, and she has told me how much all of her tattoos have costed, and I've seen her being in the process, and also my friends have gotten tattoos in New Zealand. They are so expensive. This one here, I got quoted in New Zealand for around 500 New Zealand dollars. I got this done in Korea for 200,000 won. So literally half the price, just because it is technically illegal in Korea. So the tattooing has to be a little bit cheaper. Tattoos are so much cheaper over here. And the crazy thing is, in New Zealand, I'm not gonna name tattoo artists, but you will know there are some fine line tattoo artists, and they will literally make you pay an arm and a leg for like a fine line, you know, flower or something, but over here that's like their specialty is fine line over here. So pretty much every tattoo artist is fine line, so you can get things that are classified as like exclusive in New Zealand for literally like $100. There are so many good tattoo artists and you can easily find them on Instagram. Yeah, I actually have a specific tattoo artist, 2 tattoo artists that I get tattooed by. I will link them up if you want to check them out. They are 10 out of 10 fantastic. They do speak English, both of them, and I love them so much. Housing, I think housing is very interesting and a lot more cheaper in Korea. The key money or the deposit is definitely more expensive in Korea because you have to do like a massive lump sum, which is like minimum $10,000. And then rent, though, you pay by the month. In New Zealand, you pay weekly. And like my rent that I pay monthly in Korea, which is 600,000 won, is literally 1 week's rent in New Zealand. So it's so much more expensive for renting, and that's why I think a lot of younger adults are flatting in New Zealand than they are owning a home or being able to live on their own, which is unfortunate, and that's why it's one of the things I don't want to go back to New Zealand, is kind of losing that independence. New Zealand is just expensive. I'm just gonna put it in a New Zealand is expensive and that's why I don't want to go back. Friendliness, I think New Zealand is definitely way open, and I think I love that about New Zealand is you talk to random people on the street. You know, if you're at a bus station, someone comes in, you're like, oh, what a lovely weather is it, or how are you doing, love, you know, or talk to your neighbors, you know, and you know everyone around you, and you'll happily talk to someone in the supermarket. My mum is criminal for that. She will literally start up a conversation and by the end of it gets a phone number to be besties. In Korea, definitely not. You don't talk to strangers. As a foreigner, you might have people come up to you and talk to you just because of that, but it's not very normal. You don't, you know, start up a conversation. Even if you knew Korean, you wouldn't start up a conversation with someone at the bus station being, oh, it's a lovely weather. They will find that very weird and they would probably think you're a weirdo. At the spectrum, patience. I feel like Kiwis do not have any patience. If a restaurant is busy, if a cafe is busy and there's a line for like 10-20 minutes, we will not line up. We will be like, look, we'll come back in 3 weeks when it's not busy, because it's a popular restaurant. In Korea, when it's popular, everyone goes for those 2 weeks, and then literally within a month you can go back and it's not busy, because that like whole sheep mentality of having to go to like the coolest, latest restaurants is really big in Korea. and New Zealand, they don't really care. Oh, the last thing, and I think that's what I love about Korea, and one of the reasons why I wanted to move, is the city life. In New Zealand, things close at like 6 o'clock. Literally malls close at 6 p.m. and we have late nights, which is like 9:30, which is really late for us. Coffee shops open at 6 a.m. in the morning and will close around 4 p.m. Korea, things are open so late, though I noticed when I first traveled here in 2019, me and my friend woke up, you know, at 8 o'clock and got ready at 9, and we went to Karasukyo and nothing was open. Because in New Zealand, going to the mall at 9-10 o'clock is like super normal to start shopping. But here, things open at like 11. And so we kind of got used to the fact that we could sleep in and do stuff until later in the night instead of doing things earlier. Another question, let's move on. Sorry, that was very big, but I felt like it was like the main question. So yeah, top 3 priorities while living in Korea and how they have changed. My main 3 is money and debt. I came over here to pay off a lot of my debt in New Zealand. I was working full time and I still, after paying like my debts and stuff, I literally barely had enough to survive. Over here, I can easily send money back home to New Zealand to pay off credit cards and all that stuff, student loans, while also still being able to live a good life over here and treat myself. And I could not do that with the hard-earned money that I worked for, which drove me insane. Experiences. I definitely came over here to have different experiences, and I wanted to like learn new things and be put into different situations that I never thought I would be in. Good situations, by the way, not bad ones. I have a lot of time to myself to kind of discover and to kind of travel. And I think living in Korea during COVID, 2 of those years were definitely affected by it. I wasn't actually able to experience a lot during that COVID time. Luckily, I lived in Wonju, so the restrictions weren't as tough, and me and my friends still did road trips around Korea, but staying away from Seoul because, you know, it was like the fire pit. The other thing is friends. I think finding a good bunch of friends in Korea was a big priority. You're on your own here. You don't have family, so friends is the other thing that, you know, keeps you sane, that keeps you together. And also a priority is sweeping the friends out that you know are toxic or that you don't really want in your life. I've come to the conclusion that living in a different country with expats, you think we're all in the same boat, but sadly it is pretty cliquey over here, and sometimes you have people who only want to use you. Feels kind of shitty. So I try to definitely find friends that are who actually want to be friends. My mum always makes a joke that I have way more friends in Korea than I have ever had in New Zealand, so thanks, mum. Are the beauty standards extreme? Yes and no. Plastic surgery is very normal over here, and it's given to young girls as presents for a nose job, a double eyelid. It's very normal, and I would say 60% of people in Korea have had some sort of plastic surgery. That's including Botox and filler and stuff like that. It's very normal, and the great thing over here is they do it so natural that you can barely tell. You do have the extreme where you do have girls that definitely have changed their face and you can tell, so they don't do it to make themselves look plastic or anything else. With that being said, I think the beauty standards doesn't apply as much to foreigners. I know it, like living in Korea can definitely make you feel a little crappy, especially seeing the beauty standards of, you know, having beautiful skin and being thin and stuff like that. But funnily enough, and this is just my observation, out of all the Asian countries, I've been to China, I've been to Japan, I believe Korea, just from observation, they are the curviest Asians. I think they have definitely more of a thicker body. They definitely have more hips. They definitely have more boobs, and it's kind of nice. Though the one thing is you definitely don't see that promoted on TV or anything. But coming here, I was like, wait, there's a lot of girls normal size, like normal Western size. It's not just not portrayed. It would make people feel a little bit better about themselves. But sadly, K-pop and, you know, that image of a K-idol is definitely so big over here that that's kind of the main image they kind of want to continue pushing. The next is, are people friendly? Depends on your experience. I've only had very good experiences with Koreans. Yes, you've gotten pushed on the subway by ajumas, and you do have, you know, the weird stares and stuff, but I've never had anyone say really nasty things to me or say any things that were a little bit like, eek, maybe you shouldn't say that. I did have an experience in Wonju where an ajuma started touching my hair, and she just was like, wow, you have beautiful hair, and I, you know, nicely pulled it away, and I'm like, thank you. But that's it. I've never had any bad experiences. They just seem more intrigued than they do. And that's coming from a mixed race girl as well. A little side note, I am half caste, I am mixed, I am Maori, which is the indigenous people of New Zealand, Polynesian, and half white, or Pakeha, which we call it. So yeah, I am mixed race, and yes, I get questions being like, oh, what type of person are you? Where are you from? And then they just are like, oh, does every New Zealander look like you? And I'm like, yes and no. I think they just assume every New Zealander is white, so they're a little bit confused on that. I haven't gotten any discrimination besides being discriminated on just being a foreigner. What's one positive of living in Korea you only began to appreciate recently? Closeness with family. Especially when you walk the streets of Korea and seeing full-grown men and women like holding their mum's hand, or, you know, hand around their dad's shoulder, or, you know, like that really sweet, you know, it's okay to hold hands with your mother as a full-grown or teenager. In New Zealand, I remember being a teenager and mum wanting a hug and being like, mum, that's so gross, or you know, like mum wanting to like link arms or hold hands. I'm like, mum, I'm like a teenager, why would, like, you know, like it. And you see it, you never really see closeness with parents and children in New Zealand, especially at like an older age. You don't really see that. I love that about Korea, where it's like it's so okay, no one judges, and I'm like, damn, when I go back to New Zealand, I'm gonna be linking arms with my mum, I'm gonna be happy hanging out with her and just appreciating the time I have with my mother. Any negatives in Korea, and any negatives living in Korea? you get FOMO a lot in Korea, especially if you're like in the weekend you don't want to do anything, but then you're like, you're in a different country, you should be doing things. And that's one thing that was super frustrating. Then I had to teach myself that it was okay to relax and not have to do things every single day. And I definitely give that to you who is also living here. If you're new here, don't feel the need to do stuff all the time, because you will get burnt out, especially with work and then also wanting to try and do lots of stuff. Give yourself space, give yourself time. The other negative is always the foreigner. Even if you can speak Korean, even if you're fluent, even if you're mixed race Korean, or even if you're Gyopo, you automatically don't fit the realm of being Korean. Not literally being like, I'm Korean, but you know, like feeling that like this is your country. Definitely something that I found is very negative in Korea, and they need to be a little bit more open, but it doesn't also help with their president at the moment, who's very anti-foreigners. So another negative is trying to find work that is not being a teacher. Now, let's just say you got a degree in Korea, you can speak Korean and stuff like that. Korea has a policy where it's like every 5 Koreans to 1 foreigner. So you need 5 Koreans to be able to hire 1 foreigner. And that means you still need to beat all the other Koreans that might be better than you just because they're Korean. It is very hard to get a job, a normal working job, an office job, but people do it. This video is so long. Fuck my life. Okay. Favorite stores in Korea. This one was kind of hard. I do love Tambourines and Gentle Monster just because it's like a work of art as a store. It's like literally an art gallery. The other brand that I really like is Yusei. It is a Korean brand. It's very cool girl Korean aesthetic. A little sexy, I would say, for Korean standard, but it's very streetwear, cool girl, soupy. And it's like a concept store with lots of like streetwear and Korean designer streetwear, and that's a really cool store. The other store that I really like is Setter. Setter is really cute. It's got some really nice pieces. It's definitely like minimalistic street style. Their pieces are really nice, especially for men's. I would say their clothing is 10 out of 10. I do have a jacket for In Silence, and that's also got some crazy cool pieces. Again, it's a Korean brand. Do you feel like you missed out on anything because of Korea? Now, actually, I think I would have missed out more if I stayed in New Zealand. Even when I came over during the COVID times, I still think it was a really good decision. I was able to pay a lot of things off. I was able to meet new friends. I was able to kind of dabble into a job that I've wanted to always do. I've always wanted to be a teacher, so it kind of ticks off that part of my life as well. And I get to travel. I've always loved to travel. I don't think I like the idea of settling down in a country. I think I'll be moving around a lot until I'm older, and then maybe New Zealand will be a place where I settle down in the future. But honestly, I'm very chill. I go with the flow. Maybe if I want to stay in Korea forever, who knows? Dream career. Going on to that, I actually have always wanted to be a dance teacher. My bachelor is a dance bachelor, and yeah, I've always wanted to be a tertiary dance teacher, so high school. I grew up in South Auckland. I grew up in a very low economic area, and the school that I went to, high school, is in a very rough area, and I kind of always dreamed of going back and being a dance teacher in that school that I went to. I think also a dream career of mine is having my own like dance school, especially in Asia. Dance is seen as a very like elite sport. I would love to have a dance school where I do workshops like community dance, have some of my friends in New Zealand come over and teach, you know, cultural dances, and just kind of introduce dance in a different light that they might not used to. Oh, actually, I did get a question about my love life, and that was, do you have any sneaky links, or who am I trying to get with, was some of the questions. I am in a relationship. I have been in a relationship for the past year. So no, I do not have any sneaky links, and I'm already trying to get with my mans. So yeah. Anyway, that was the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any more questions, if you want a part 2, let me know and comment down below. And I will see you guys soon. Ka kite anō. Ciao. Goodbye. See ya.